You are listening to Practical and Woo by Mindset and Manifest. My name is Eden, and I invite you to embark on a journey with me to explore the practical and spiritual edges of the unknown for the purpose of allowing you to embody and empower yourself uniquely as you are and to intentionally create and live a life of freedom and fulfillment. Each week, I am going to discuss topics such as energetics, reality creation, manifestation, astrology, tarot, and more to help empower you to live beyond perceived limitations and to practically design your life so it feels like absolute magic every step of the way. Let's dive in. Well, hello, brilliant soul. Firstly, I'd like to say that if you are a Swiftie, congratulations on the announcement of the new album. TS12 is on its way. The Life of a Showgirl. I am so excited to sink my teeth into that and my listening pleasure. This is just a reminder that if you're a spiritual person, you can also be interested in the stuff that is happening in the physical world, living your life by play, really partaking, absorbing, enjoying all of the material things, all of the experiences all around you. So let yourself be excited. And if you're not excited, that's okay too. So I have been traveling a lot this summer, and the mode of travel has been in the form of road trips. One of my absolute favorite things to do on these drives is to just be aware of the scenes and settings that are passing me by. And if you're someone who is used to traveling along the highway, you might already know that this is a prime real estate for billboards. Cascading billboards all along highways like the I-95. Recently, one of these mile-high signs stuck out to me. Written across its expanse in sans serif typeface were the words, "Your view deserves a better frame." Granted, it was an advertisement for a window frame company, and it had me thinking about something a little different, a little more philosophical, a tad more woo. And that, my brilliant soul, is what we will be peeling back the layers on in today's episode. So let's dive in. A frame can change everything. The exact same painting placed inside a thin plastic border under fluorescent lighting may seem unimpressive, even unremarkable. But if you put that same painting in a gilded frame with warm spotlighting, hung with reverence in a gallery, suddenly it's breathtaking, intriguing, worth pausing for. The painting itself did not change, but the way it was framed did. And this same concept remains true for the way we choose to view our lives. Most of us have allowed our frames to be the generational ones that have been passed down to us. Namely, our lives have been framed by the culture that we grew up in, by our family systems, by our past pain, by the voice in our head that learned to keep us safe by preparing for worst case scenarios. It's the way we allow ourselves to make sense of our world, defining how we interpret everything that we experience. The frames we use can turn a pause into a failure, a boundary into a betrayal, a lesson into shame, a difference into a deficiency. What I'm coming to learn is that if the view of the boundary, the lesson, or the difference sparks a feeling of inadequacy, fault, or deficiency within us, we may come to reason that our view deserves a better frame. I want to invite you to consider when the last time was for you where you looked at a moment, specifically one that was hard, awkward, or uncertain, and you framed it with a thought in your mind that said that you messed up or ruined it or you should have known better. That kind of inner spiral, it doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from the frame in which you view your life. One that says, if it didn't go perfectly, then it went wrong. If they don't agree, then I must be wrong. If I feel uncomfortable, then I'm unsafe. If I don't get approval, then I must be unworthy. And just like that, The richness of your experience becomes compressed into a narrow, suffocating narrative that causes you emotional pain. What if your view deserves a better frame? What if instead you were able to meet the same moment with, wow, that took courage. This is a chapter, not the whole story. I'm proud of myself for showing up with heart. I am learning. I am living. I am doing beautifully. Do you feel that shift? That sense of something widening or softening? A sense of relief, like a breath of fresh air? I want to tell you about an experience that I once had. It started off as a regular Tuesday, and I had just walked away from a conversation that left me spinning, second guessing myself, ruminating on every word, every facial expression. My nervous system was on high alert, even though nothing explicitly bad happened. I sat down on the floor of my bedroom, my back against the wall, feelings of defeat, but also curiosity simultaneously rising up within me. And I just asked myself, what am I making this mean? It was a simple question, but it cracked something open for me, because the answer that spilled out was the narrative that was holding me hostage and coloring my view of the situation. A view that was saying, I'm not liked, that I ruined it, that I'm being judged, that I'm not okay. In this, when I really look at the facts, I saw something different. I saw a moment where I held my boundary, where I stayed honest. I saw two nervous systems, mine as well as the other person's, both in tension, trying to dance with each other and stepping on toes, not out of malice, but just from an old choreography. I saw a younger version of me trying to protect me with an outdated fear. And in that moment, I realized my view wasn't the problem, but the frame was. The moment didn't need to be rewritten. It needed to be revived. It needed to be reseen. And so I chose to hold and view the moment in a new frame, one that allowed it space to exist in the humanness of it all. And in turn, I felt this deep compassion, even some relief. So much of our suffering comes from the frame that we place around what's unfolding around us. We assign everything meaning without realizing it. We narrate without noticing. And there is immense power in pausing and asking, what other frame could I place around this? Instead of I failed, what if your frame was I learned? Instead of I'm behind, what if the frame was I'm right on time for my timeline? Instead of they misunderstood me, so I must have said it wrong, what if the frame was I spoke with my integrity, whether they understood or not? I'm proud of standing in my truth. You deserve to view your life through a frame that makes space for your softness, for your missteps, for your breathtaking growth, for your whole unfolding, unfinished humanity. So let's now address the part of your brain that might be whispering to you that this is seeing the world by placing a coat of sugar on reality. And I want to be very clear here. This isn't about bypassing reality, but about meeting reality with a lens that reflects your truth more fully rather than just your fear. You can allow yourself to think of it this way. Two people can experience the exact same event and walk away with completely different meanings, not because one of them is wrong, but because they were looking through different frames. Framing is not about denial, it's about discernment. It's not about gaslighting yourself into pretending that everything is okay. It's about making a meaning of your circumstances that feels empowering and in service of the person that you're choosing to become. It means you're allowing yourself to see the fullness of your life and your existence, not just the fracture. So how do we actually begin to change our frames in practice? It starts with noticing the ones we already use. They often sound like inner chatter that exclaims that something is always happening to you, that you should have known better, that you received confirmation for failing. It's these sorts of ideations, or frames, that shape the angle of your attention and therefore the emotions that flood your body. A new frame might sound like recognizing that a pattern wants your attention and is trying to teach you something, or compassion for how you responded because there is still room to grow. You might realize that something isn't final, but simply a moment in time, or that you are allowed to see things a little differently than others, or even a lot differently than others. With enough practice, reframing allows you to start building the habit of being kinder to yourself, of holding your experience with more softness, more neutrality, and more sovereignty. I want to take this one step deeper with you. Sometimes your view doesn't just need a better emotional frame. It needs a better visionary frame. Because maybe right now your life looks like chaos. Maybe it looks like confusion or heartbreak or an unknown. But what if that chaos is the compost? What if this season is not the end, but the initiation? What if the frame you held looked like you knowing that you are in a process of becoming, that you are in the construction site of your next chapter, that the ache is making space for clarity? When you give your life a visionary frame, you stop judging the mess and begin to trust the magnificence of the view. Here's how you can start to live in this today. Anytime you notice tension or shame or self-judgment or spiraling arise within you, allow yourself to pause and ask, what frame am I using to interpret this moment? Consider, is there a kinder, truer, more empowering frame that I could choose? And then try it. Literally rephrase the meaning. Say it out loud. Write it down. Anchor it in your body. For example, I'm a mess might become, I am a human who is feeling deeply, and that's a beautiful thing. I made a mistake might become, I acted from the tools that I had, and I'm also learning new ones. They don't understand me becomes, it's okay if they don't get me. I'm still real and I still matter. And if you can't find the reframe right away, just say, I trust there's a frame I haven't seen yet, because there always is. Sometimes the most sacred shift that you can make is allowing yourself to move from what's wrong with me to what's happening through me. When you give your experience a spiritual frame, not one of punishment or reward, but of purpose and potential. And when you do this, everything begins to untangle. Even the hardest chapters of your life can soften when they're placed in a frame of growth, becoming, and truth. Your life is not random. Your soul is not mistaken. Your timing is not off. Your view just deserves a better frame. So today I invite you to ask yourself, where have you been using a frame to compress yourself? And what's another way that you could hold this? And what would happen if you trusted that your current reality is not a life sentence, but a doorway through to a place that you're asking to be? Your view matters. Your story is opulent. Your essence is artistry. And all of this deserves to be seen with reverence, not through a cracked or dusty frame inherited from the past. You deserve to view your life from inside a frame that matches your soul's true frequency. And you get to choose which frame that will be. Until next time.